Ryan Tennant, dude, welcome to Engineer My Future. It's finally happening.
Yes, sir. Long time coming.
Really, when I look at your content and where I want to start with this, I find myself right now as a 23-year-old constantly playing with this battle of like, how do I maximize my 20s? And when I look at it, sort of, we have these two major paths. Either A, you choose to live it up. You go on the boys' trip to Cancun, you backpack across Europe, but then you become this underskilled 30-year-old. Or you choose to work it up. You go for these big goals, but then you have no life experiences.
Yeah.
And frankly, I find myself at 22 not knowing what I want out of, my next decade and better yet, my entire life. But I do find myself fearful of how exactly do I make the most of the next 10 years. And so I'm curious, and where I want to start is, in your opinion, is there a balance that we can find between that? And simply put, how do we nail our 20s?
Yeah. You do have the option to live it up or work it up. And either way has its pros and cons. And there's no do-overs, right? Um, so to get the most out of your 20s, I mean, and to get ahead, so to speak, I think it means like knowing what game you're playing first. Like most 20 somethings are like running a race that they didn't even pick, and that's a big topic that I touch on in my content all the time. If you want to call it contrarian or like kind of an individualism spin on it, I think that's a lot of what I talk about. Um, is that like you should be questioning everything, you know, whether the result of that questioning leads you to live it up or working it up. Like I think there's not one correct way to live life. Of course, like, should you optimize for security in your 20s? I don't know. I don't think so. There's pros and cons to it because if you work a great stable job, you're getting good benefits, that there's value in that. And if you want to put a lot of money towards the stock market or towards a down payment on a house, like that's going to be awesome for your future. But you could also make the case that you could also just do that in your 30s, you know? You could like like you could do that in your 30s. Of course, like there's value in getting a head start in your 20s, but there's also value on this time being so unique and your optionality being still valuable too. Like between your geographic flexibility, your low fixed expenses, you have probably minimal debt. Like those are leverage right now. And and those are boring, but it lets you actually take swings. So I think no matter if you choose to live it up or work it up, um, I think no matter how you take advantage of that optionality and treat it with respect and be a good steward of it, of being, you know, being aware of those risks that you have and being able to um, understand that this is a unique time to be taking some pretty big risks. Like, I think no matter what, if you lean into that side of things, again, whether you decide to work it up or live it up, you'll leave no regrets in your wake if you take swings for the fences. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a risk at all at just completely obliterating yourself in your 20s? Like making a decision or a choice or going through a risk that is just so unbelievably bad that now there are no do overs? Or, with you sitting here now at 26 and slowly creeping up, walking up to the porch, getting ready to knock on the door of your 30s,
Yeah.
are you at a point now where it's like, you know what? I really can do whatever I want in my 20s. There really is infinite lives, infinite do overs at this age.
Yeah, that's something weird is there I see so much online discussion about how at certain ages in your 20s you feel old and at certain ages you feel young. For whatever reason, 26 feels really young because I think, yeah, you just get more perspective as you get older and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm only 26. Like, yeah, like of course, like you could take a different angle on it. You could say, oh my gosh, I'm 4 years out of college. That's insane. But also, I'm 4 years out of college and I'm only 26 still. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I think to your original point, like, um, life is what you make it. Like if you do nothing but fail in your 20s, like fail at business, you don't find a lifelong partner, you change careers multiple times. Like on paper, those can look like failures for sure. Like face value, those look like failures. But you're not going to walk out of any one of those situations or failures without having learned anything. All of that is data to go off of. I think the biggest failure is not failing and not taking any risk at all. Like it's just that old what do you call it? Oxymoron. Yeah, where it's like the biggest risk is taking no risk at all. So I mean, I commend people that, like I said, swing for the fences and like have a just like blow up their 20s, like you said. Because like I think the 30s and the rest of their life is way more informed on their interests, their dislikes, their strengths, their weaknesses. And again, like I briefly touched on, like a lot of people are just running a race that they didn't sign up for.
That's one of the things I've found the most interesting about people my age when I look at our goals and our aspirations and what it is that we want to accomplish. I feel like if you really take a moment, step back in silence with a notebook, pen and paper, and
Yeah,
break down like, what do I actually give a shit about? What am I
yeah,
actually working for? So much of it is done for the opinions or the validations or
yeah,
simply the acceptance of other people. But beyond that, the other thing that I find really interesting is while we do set goals to impress the girl or impress the guy or to make our parents proud or whatever, I also think a lot of us live trying to fall into congruence with a goal that we may have set 5 years ago that
yeah.
honestly nowadays it's like I literally don't give two craps about this goal anymore. Yet
Yeah,
for whatever reason, we continue to live into that. We continue to act as though it's the most important thing in the world, even though mentally in our minds, we are acting against it. Like we don't want to be doing what we're doing, but we're still just doing it for whatever weird reason.
yeah.
Do you feel like that changes at all as you begin to age, or is that just something that is a through line for our lives and we have to learn to deal with it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and something that I found myself. I can relate to this topic very, very personally here because so once I graduated college, I went into real estate. I was a real estate agent for a few years. Because my dad was in the business, like I just was under his wing. It was easy. It was a fine gig to have. I know there's like the massive earning potential in real estate. Like it just made a lot of sense, and I wasn't really passionate about anything in finance, which is what my degree was in. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take somewhat of a risk here. And one day I just looked up after being in real estate for 2 years. I was 24, and I was just so stressed out for no other reason than I was like, wait a minute, like, what happens after real estate? Like, I can't get another title after this. Like, my job isn't prestigious. Um, I don't have benefits. Like, I don't have all these things that a lot of other people my age have. And I'm not on a traditional path whatsoever. And for some reason, just one day that just freaked me out. Freaked me. I mean, I really hesitate to say panic attack, but it was like a pretty serious moment. Um, and it just all cascaded at the same time. And like I got a new job. I left real estate and I got a new job. It was a little more traditional in like the 9 to 5 sense. But looking back on that, I was like, why did I care so much about that? Like that was literally like not like literally nothing else outwardly happened. It was just something that happened inside me one day where I decided to be freaked out in my situation because of what I thought I had to be doing in that moment. Like I wouldn't even be surprised. I don't know exactly what triggered it, but I think probably just going through LinkedIn and seeing other people, I could talk about LinkedIn forever. But like going on LinkedIn and seeing other people with these cool jobs in different cities and like being on with like Fortune 500 companies, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't have that at all. Like I'm just like working with my dad, which by the way, I actually really did enjoy working. Like I liked my situation, but it's just one day that it all like the house of cards fell. And and now I can look back on it. I was like, I did not have to think about it that way at all. Like, of course, like, was real estate like the long term play for me? Maybe not. But did I have to have a panic attack about it? No. Like, I could have made a pivot from a much more grounded, like, sane, like, level headed, kind of standpoint, instead of being freaked out about it for literally no other reason, for it feeling behind on the things I thought I had to do, which follow the traditional path, go on with a big company, get a good benefits package, have a predictable career ladder to climb, and not having that stress me out in that moment.
Well, I think we live in a world where there's never been more mirrors than ever
Yeah,
before. Like,
yeah, yeah,
it is impossible to go on the internet and not see every post, carousel,
yeah,
reel, long form piece of content on YouTube that is showing everybody, look how sick I am and look how much your life sucks.
yeah,
And it's impossible to turn that off. No matter how hard you
yeah,
try, no matter how hard you go. I'm deleting Instagram. We all know you delete it for what, 13 days, then it's re-downloaded, or you're logging in through the
yeah,
incognito tab on your browser. Like,
yeah.
you're not getting rid of it.
Classic.
It's
Yeah,
just how it goes.
yeah,
How do you feel like you can create your own identity in that when we're always playing this comparison game? Like, how do you separate out and go, this is what I actually care about? I don't
yeah,
care that Glenda got this job. I don't care that Brendan went to the Maldives. Like,
yeah,
this is what I want to do. How do you do
yeah.
that?
Well, you mentioned something I actually wanted to touch on. I'm so glad you asked this question right now before I forgot it. I was like, when you just sit down in silence with pen and paper and take like an objective look at your life, be honest with yourself. What's working? What do I like? What do I not? Like, you'll realize how much um of your stress or the life you think you should be living is affecting you. And you can be really honest and just take a moment to breathe and just take a step back and take a look at your life objectively. Because if I had done that back in my situation when I was 24, like everything came crashing down, I would have been like, okay, wait a minute. Like, I'm living in a place I love. I'm around people I love. I'm in a job that I think pays me fairly. Like, everything is actually going pretty well. Like, if I had done that back then, I would have gone through that whole new job search and exit from real estate way smoother and way cleaner. So, yeah, I guess to answer your question, um, just it's so corny, but being grateful for it's being happy. Being happy is not getting what you want; it's wanting what you have.
Hmm.
That's
That,
a quote that I absolutely love, and I think if you can take a moment and realize that you do like have a lot of the things that you at one point wanted, that will be a huge stress reliever. Um, yeah, does that answer your question? That was kind of long
yeah,
winded.
no,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay,
I mean, it's something that I've really wrestled with in my mind for a
yeah,
while. And especially since graduating college, I look at where most people go. And it's
yeah,
exactly like you said. They
yeah,
graduate, they go get the job, they're doing the thing. And I mean, it's crazy, dude, as a 23-year-old to look around and be like, why do you have 5 kids already? But people do it, you know? They just completely lock into their lives and they've now determined their destiny for the next 85 years.
yeah, yeah,
But then I look
yeah,
back and it's like, well, is that actually what you wanted? And
yeah,
maybe it is. Like, who
yeah,
knows? I can't tell you what it is that you do or don't want. But then I also look at all these people who say they want all these different things, but then they're doing the exact opposite of it. When, like you've been saying, your 20s are the time to do those things. That's
yeah.
where you have the freedom. And, you know, sorry to the person who has 5 kids, but if you don't have 5 kids, you have infinite time
Yeah,
compared to the person
yeah.
who is in their 30s or 40s with a wife or a husband, kids, you're paying a mortgage, you're doing all these different things. Like, I agree that your 20s are that time to just explore and frankly just fuck around and find out.
FAFO, baby. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and another thing on finding out what you want and like trying to like lead a life that you actually want and finding out what's important to you. Like, it's all about action, instead of planning. Like, I actually have a real beef with like having a 5 or 10 year goal because stuff happens. Life gets in the way. You're like a new person every single year. Like, if I had made goals last year for a 5-year plan, they would be completely different if I had made a goal for a 5-year plan this year. That's just the way of life, and that's the nature of the volatility of your 20s, is that your preferences change. And yeah, so I think all this to say, like, action is so much more valuable than planning. Like, you can't just think your way to clarity, right? Like, you have to do enough stuff to find out what you like and what fits into your version of success, you know?
At what
Yeah.
point do you feel like planning and ambition is just procrastination in
Oh
disguise?
my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't wanna make any generalizations here, but
Piss the people off, piss them off.
yeah, yeah, you know what? You know what? Okay. Okay. I think I think it's, um I mean, of course, I think a lot of planning is just procrastination dressed up as, like, optimization and feeling like you're doing something. When really I think, like, how boring would it be if you just stuck to your plan? You know? There's no plot in that, you know?
Yeah.
How I love spontaneity, I love chaos. I think that's the whole essence of your 20s is taking detours and unexpected turns and meeting new people and, you know, having these opportunities that spring up seemingly out of nowhere. And if you're too hard-headed to deter from that plan, even though there might be a better opportunity for you in the middle of you on your way there, and you don't take it because you're so militant in your thinking, like what a horrible way to live, you know? So I think you know, working on a shorter time frame actually does like serve to your best interests.
I've always found myself to be, unfortunately, a massive planner, a massive person to want to over optimize every living thing. And maybe it's the engineer in me or the type A brain,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
every single year I set a word to really define what I want the year to mean to me. And
yeah.
this year my word was yes. And it was simply to say yes to more things. If the boys say we're going to go jump off the boat, then figure out a way to get to the lake and jump off the boat. If they say we're taking a trip to here, just go and do it. But
Yeah, I love it.
truth be told, like every single day, I sit there going, is this the right move? Would it be better to isolate myself and just go into my hole in the dark and over optimize the living hell out of everything? And I think probably not. I think at this point, I'm starting to realize that our 20s are for experiences and
Yeah,
building that lore stat, if you will. But
yeah.
at the same time, like, do you feel like there is a balance that we should have? And if so, where do we find that?
Yeah, for sure. You know, my dad has a good um he definitely he has a good frame of mind. He's like it's like he says this about life, but I mean, I think this is especially true for your 20s. It's like life is pretty much driving at night with your headlights on, and you can see the next 100 yards ahead, you know? That's pretty much it. So of course, like you want to plan for whatever turn is coming up next, and to the best of your ability. Like you don't want to be completely reckless. But you're always going to be operating off of bad information. So you have to make whatever decision fits for you in that moment. Um, but again, you know, don't be too married to any plan on what you think is going to happen 5 miles ahead, because who knows, right? Because all you can see right now is 100 yards ahead, and that's especially true in your 20s. Um, so I mean, if something happens 5 miles ahead that you didn't plan on, you'll you'll just you'll do whatever the road sign says, you know?
Yeah.
You just take it one step at a time.
Do you have a secret 5 or 10-year goal that you're trying to reject and you don't want to
Yeah.
accept it, but you have it?
I mean, that's something I think of still. It's like, okay, if I were to make like what actually do I want life to look like in 5 to 10 years? Again, not necessarily a rigid plan or certain accolades to have or anything like that, but just like what do I want it to look like? I think, you know, a big thing for me is location freedom. I think that is a super reasonable goal to have in today's modern era with social media, internet money, you know, work flexibility, that kind of thing. Like, I don't think that location freedom is just going to be reserved for like the mega rich. Like, I really think a lot of people can just achieve it and actually work like a meaningful job or career. So whatever that looks like, I don't know, but you know, that's always going to kind of be in the back of my mind is to keep an eye and ear out for opportunities like that. Um, Location freedom, of course, um, being with a wonderful partner, just being happy, I suppose. I know that's a super limp answer, but again, I think it kind of reveals my whole philosophy on the 20s and life in general, I suppose.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it makes sense though
Yeah.
to know roughly what you want or what you value.
Yeah.
And recently I've been really trying to operate on core values as opposed to if I do not have this exact dollar sign by this exact date,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna freak out. Because
Yeah.
like you're saying, life changes and you may have an entirely different goal fall into place, or you might just not hit the goal. And then you either have two options, and that's just keep on pushing forward or sit there and beat yourself up for the
Yeah.
next year, and it's completely pointless.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me for a second about how you believe the biggest risk that you could be taking right now is perhaps not going for your goals and really sending it, but staying in a job, working a 9 to 5 as two 9 to 5ers on this call and also content creators. I think this is an important topic that we
Yes.
should discuss.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I saw you liked my reel right before getting on this, and I'm glad you did because that was one of the most honest and, like, proud of myself reels that I ever made, and I mean, from a metric standpoint, flopped. I didn't even care because I had to say that. For anyone listening in, I made a reel, something to the effect of, like, the biggest risk that I take every single day is walking into my job and laying down my goals and my ambitions at the doorstep before I go and clock in. Of course, that sounds pretty dramatic, but there is a little truth to it too, because like for someone, like myself and for you too, Alex, man, like we're both obviously trying to build something of our own and tap into a different way of supporting yourself, which is super doable nowadays. Um, and like I referenced earlier, like playing the safe route just is not it right now. And I mean, I sound like a hypocrite because I do go into 9 to 5, but of course, like I'm spending all my free time, trying to, build my own thing. Um, yeah, I don't think
Do-
I answered that very well.
No, I mean, do you feel like there's an eventual point for you where you're going to go, okay, now it's time?
Yeah. Um, it could be one of two ways when that happens. Number one, like I finally take my own advice and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I have to just do what sounds good to me because you only live once. And if if going out on my own and leaving this 9 to 5 is a disaster, I can get another one, you know, and just getting fed up with it, and I feel like I inch closer to that every single day. Not that there's anything wrong with a 9 to 5 or working a traditional path, but I just don't think my brain works like that. I just think there's so much opportunity out there now where you can really support yourself by following your own interests and passions. And um, you know, yeah,
It is definitely an interesting spot to be in because I find myself there as well, saying that
yeah,
it's fully possible to go and do whatever it is that you want to do. Yet at the same
yeah,
time, I punch into a job
yeah,
every single Monday through Friday. And
yeah,
perhaps it comes down to the topic that we were, chatting about at the very beginning of this podcast. And it's the fact that I spent 5 years getting the degrees that are behind me.
yeah,
And for the longest time, my personality was wrapped into the fact that I got a master's in engineering at 22, and that was my whole shtick. But then you do it and you're like, okay, great. Now what? This is kind of cool, but I don't actually care that much. And frankly, the most interesting thing is I look around and I see all these engineers who are in love with what they're doing. And I'm like,
yeah,
is that what I love doing? I don't know,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's amazing. Perfect example of you just like your preferences and interests just change over time, and it's completely natural. It's not like it was like a complete um, sunk cost or wasted time pursuing those. Like that's what yeah, like I said, like it's you're just going with the next 100 yards. Like that's what made the most sense. That's awesome. But now you're questioning, like, is this really what I want? And that's like awesome, you know? Um, and it's like, yeah, it's weird to watch your preferences change in real time and feel like there's a version of yourself of your former self that you're letting down in some way. Because I feel like that too, you know. Because once I left real estate and got the job I'm in now, like I would have prayed for the job I had now, and now I prayed to be able to support myself outside of it. So things just change.
I think it's maybe just part of the human condition,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
that
yeah,
one day, sooner or later, we will decide to take that leap of faith to go and do whatever it is that we're going to go do. 5 years later, we're going to go, you know what? This isn't everything it's all cracked up to
yeah,
be. It's kind of just okay. And I mean, I think that's where it comes down to it being so important to build a life outside of your work, no matter what
yeah,
it is that you're doing. Because obviously, we can say, oh, I love my work and I never work a day in my life. But truth be told, you're still showing up doing whatever it
yeah,
is that you're going to go and do. And so, I mean, it is massive to just build out experiences. And that's one of the things that I've really noticed with your content over the past year or so, just watching you really make an effort to put your money towards travel and new experiences and just seeing like what you can get out of life.
yeah,
You had said at one point in one of your videos that like you do not care at all about the price when it comes down to what it
yeah,
is that you're going to go
yeah,
and do.
yeah.
But I mean, how'd you get to that point in the first place?
Like, how did I get to, like, just prioritizing
Just
travel
not
and
caring.
experiences and that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
because it's so easy for us to go, to take the Dave Ramsey advice and go, I need to
Yeah,
be eating ramen. I have to save all of my money. I can't go and afford these experiences. But I look around at everybody else and I'm super jealous of them because they're hanging out in Indonesia doing whatever.
yeah,
I mean, was there a point where that switch flipped for you? What made you finally go, you know what? I've had it. I'm going to just go for these things.
yeah. We're gonna take a hard left here and go pretty morbid.
Let's do it.
Like, you're gonna die one day. Like, you're gonna die one day. You will take none of this with you. None of your bank account, none of your material possessions, not your job title, not what anything you did in your career. I mean, so you might as well just have a lot of fun while you're here, you know? Of course, like again, there's a balance between everything. Don't be reckless. But if you can prioritize experiences and get a perspective reset, which I think is like the most beautiful thing of travel and getting to see how other people, structure their lives and realizing that like the way that you do things isn't the way, it's just a way. Like, oh my gosh, that's perspective shift and memory in and of itself is worth 100 times whatever it costed to get to whatever destination or experience that you had. Um, yeah, so I think it's I'm going like kind of more philosophical here, but I think like just carpe diem, like we're only here for so long, and I think I would have a bigger regret not going on the trip, not being a little reckless than I would playing it safe again. And um, yeah, I think travel is can also be used, as a forcing function to figure out what you like versus what you've been told to like again because it's just there's no better perspective shifter than travel. And even myself, I'm a novice traveler. I've gone to Mexico a few times. I've been to Canada. I've traveled around the U.S. I go to Coachella every year, which I'm even embarrassed to bring that up in a travel conversation, but
We'll count it. We'll count
yeah,
it.
well, let's count it.
It's allowable in the novice conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, I mean, it just plays to the experience thing, right? Um, I mean, Coachella. I mean, actually, the more I think about it, the more it actually fits in perfectly with my whole philosophy on travel and experience. Because the first time I went to Coachella, I just happened to be in Palm Springs that year. Didn't even know that Coachella was going on that weekend until literally the night before. I was just doing spring break in Palm Springs with my girlfriend, and then we found out, wait a minute, Coachella is tomorrow. And so we looked at the poster. We found out how much tickets were. This is 2 years ago, by the way, so not Beaverchella. Like they weren't like $8,000 back then. Um, so I mean, I'm not a festival goer. I've never been to a festival. I hardly even go to live music. But that morning, we spent the entire morning, the day, like the first day of Coachella, going all around the Coachella Valley trying to find tickets because we're like, you know what? We got to do this. We're here. You know, everything happens for a reason. We're here. We can get tickets. Like, we will regret not doing this if we don't go right now. And the tickets were $800. Typically, I think when they first go on sale, they're more like 500, but like day of, they're 800. And mind you, we could only be there for the first 2 days of the 3 days of the festival. So we're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just do it. So like, actually perfect example of me just going for it in the moment. And now it is my favorite tradition to do every single year is go to Coachella. And it's always fun to think back to the origin story of it all when I said screw it and I ripped the Band-Aid. Um, and that, I mean, yes, did the $800 turn into basically a lifetime subscription to Coachella that'll be like tens of thousands of dollars? Sure, whatever. But I mean, to get to go and do that and have like seriously such a fun tradition to every year that you look forward to for an entire year, like, wow, like best $800 initially that I'd ever spent. Um, yeah,
I do
yeah,
think having traditions, whether they're, big things or going to Coachella or whatever, or just simply every August, me and my family goes camping, whatever that
yeah,
thing is for you, it's important to have that. And also to your point on travel, I mean, it doesn't need to be taking the 13-month long
yeah,
backpacking trip
yeah,
through all of Asia. It could be going camping. It could be as simple as going to a new coffee shop on a Saturday and just
yeah.
checking it out, but getting those new experiences. Tactically now, like, what is your process for this is worth my money, this is worth my time, I want this experience, and then actually going about doing that? Do you have a process or is it just ready, fire, aim?
It yeah, yeah, the latter. If it's in my account, like I said, it is getting spent. I promise you that. Like last minute flights, budget trips, and like you even said, like the best travel sometimes isn't even postcard worthy. If you want to go to places like without a tourist trail, like those are going to be the ones that you actually remember, like places that are off the beaten path. Um, and yeah, again, like I think, like, I'm again, don't wanna be reckless. Like, I'm always gonna take, like, the cheapest option for everything. I just wanna get in the room, whatever it takes. But I'm gonna spend money if it takes getting into that room. So I wouldn't have a process, so to speak, other than I know roughly what's in my bank account, and I know I can afford this, and I know it's not gonna ruin me, so let's just do it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
We lost Spirit Airlines though, so we're kinda screwed, bro.
I didn't have Spirit where I live.
Oh, really?
So they weren't a big part in my life. Everything's Alaska up here.
Mm.
Everything's Alaska.
I
Everything.
only I only did it once. We flew from Salt Lake to Vegas, which everybody who wants to road trip and save money is scratching their head because they're like, "Why did you take a 1-hour flight?" But did not want to road trip this. We got on
Yeah.
this Spirit flight, dude, the fastest flight I have
Really.
ever been on. They cut the expected time in half. They took off. They said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're at cruising altitude. You can have your cookies and your drink." And then, swear to God, 2 seconds later, flight attendants prepare the cabin for arrival.
That's crazy.
Nuts.
That's
There
crazy.
may or may not have been some throw up involved in our party
Okay.
after the plane landed, but I will say, very efficient. Genuinely the quickest plane ride I've ever been on.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it.
I do think though, like, it is important to recognize that you can take experiences and build these adventures into your life
Oh
without
yeah.
losing crazy amounts of money. Like,
Oh yeah.
nobody said you need to go to Antarctica. You don't have
Yeah.
to do that. No one says you have to go climb Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. My whole philosophy, I mean, it's pretty much that. This is the time to not go to postcard worthy destinations. Like, you don't have to go to Paris, you don't have to go to Rome, you don't have to go to Florence, you don't have to go to, I don't know, New York City. Like, go to Kazakhstan, go to rural China, go to weird places because you're not going to be able to go to those forever, right? But when you're young, oh my God, yeah, you could backpack it there. You could solo trip there, no problem. But you're not going to want to do that when you're 50, 60, 70. You just want to lay on the beach in like Playa del Carmen, you know? Like, this is the time and where being cheap on travel actually serves you because it'll be an even better experience and a way more unique experience. And you'll come out with more stories, and it'll just be such a more meaningful experience. So it's the difference between being a traveler and being a tourist. You know, that's really what it comes down to.
I think the big thing to recognize too is nobody in the history of ever has sat down on their deathbed and went, "Man, I really wish I did less cool shit." Like, no one sits there thinking about that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the other thing that I think about all the time is if you are in your 20s right now, the earning potential that we're going to have in our 30s, 40s, and 50s
Yeah.
will be astronomically higher than what it is right now. So the $100 plane ticket that we're going to get to go and fly to wherever
It's nothing.
will not hurt.
It's nothing. It's
Like,
nothing.
it might hurt now, but you're not going to care about it in 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't care about in an hour. I would I would say, "See ya." Yeah. I don't even care because I know I made the right decision. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's a little morbid, but I mean, if you really wanna think about having a good life, you know, you have to think about what's gonna matter when you are 80. You know, and you wanna it's that old thing, it's like you wanna make 8-year-old you and 80-year-old you proud as frequently as possible. And and sometimes being a little reckless and adventurous. I guess adventurous is more of an accurate term than reckless because it's not reckless to have fun and go on trips, but adventurous, you know? That's what's gonna really be the, um, the North Star in your life and what will really make it meaningful. Yeah.
Something that I want to touch on as a complete change of pace is
Mhm.
this optimization culture that I think we
Mhm.
have in Gen Z. This idea that we need to be maxing every possible thing, our fitness, our money, our relationships. I saw a video of a guy talking about cry maxing the other day where he would cry and then take the tears and put it in his hair because it's functionally the same as sea salt spray. And while I get it, like I said, as an over optimizer myself, at the same time, I do start to worry and believe that by maximizing everything, we actually end up sacrificing at least our well-being,
Oh,
but
yeah.
a lot of things in our life. I'm curious, where do you stand on that? Like, how much should we be maximizing and optimizing and quote unquote making the most out of everything? And how much should we just chill the fuck out?
I say chill out, like, as much as possible, not only for your own life enjoyment, but because, like, it's that meme where it's, like, the guy who rips Diet Coke, wakes up at 10 and you know, starts work at 10:30 and and just and does what he knows he needs to do without the whole morning routine with red light and sauna, cold plunge, 5-mile run, listening to Huberman Lab. Like, guy A is blowing guy B out of the water all day. Like, you don't need to optimize everything as long as you take action, you know? Even if it's messy, even if it's bad, even if it's sloppy, like, you don't need to optimize, but you do need to start. Um, yeah, and I think if you weren't on Instagram, like, you wouldn't even know that. You wouldn't even know that, like, you'd have like, that people are optimizing everything or that that's, like, a trendy or something worth doing if you wanna be productive and successful. Like, you wouldn't even know that whole culture even exists. So I think it's just kind of it's like the circus of Instagram, you know? It's just kind of a facade, and then people get off on them you thinking that they're, like, super hardcore and, like, optimized to the gills when really it really doesn't take much to get a lot of results if you're just taking simple, repeatable actions for a long time.
It certainly becomes problematic when you jump into your 18-part morning routine, and by the time you're finished, there's no more day to
Yeah.
have optimized by your morning
Exactly.
routine that you just
Yeah.
ran through. And also, I'm gonna out every influencer ever right here.
Yeah.
If either one of us ever creates a "this is a day in my life" morning routine video, trust me, we are sitting there filming this video to make ourselves look cool as hell, but in reality, we're not gaining any of the benefits of dunking our face into the bowl of ice or running the 13 miles before the workday. We're sitting there dealing with the video to make a hyper optimized version of the thing that's going to get a bunch of clicks.
Oh,
So that
yeah.
way you guys will like it. And then it's going to make us look good.
Yeah.
It's not because that's the routine or that's what we need to do in order to start whatever random work that we've, again, just prescribed to ourselves arbitrarily because
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
decided that's what we
yeah,
wanna do. Like,
yeah.
nobody told you
Holy LARP.
that we need to go and make some random video.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, and even starting content, like I said, start beginning a content creator journey, it has helped me see through the circus even more, and it makes you realize even more how things are literally just trends. Like, no one would be doing any of that stuff if it didn't generate clicks and attention. It's I mean, it's as simple as that. Simple as that. Like, people want you to believe that they're acting a certain way or that they are a certain way, for ulterior motives, because it'll give them more clout. It'll help them with their image. Um, so it's just the circus of it.
It's one of those things when from a content standpoint that I feel it's you need to give them what they want so that way you can give them what they need, but
Yeah.
truth be told, these podcasts, this one that we're recording right now, these are the ones that I look forward to, which I mean, no offense, like this isn't a hyper optimized version of my podcast. If you want the hyper
Yeah.
optimized one, go watch the in-person one that I did a couple weeks ago. Because at the end of the day, people will put so much faith into influencers and idolize them and whatever, but I feel like these are the important conversations to have. To be like, this is just two dudes. Ryan's in his bedroom. I'm in an office right now with yellow lighting, and the window is flashing in and it's changing as the sun is starting to set. We're like, people are just people. And that is one of the
Yep.
most interesting things that I've received from content as well. Like, you do the other side of content is if you're someone who's on the fence of if you should do it or not, absolutely do it because the connections that you build with people, the relationships you gain are unbelievably powerful for the rest of your life. But also, like, it humanizes everybody because you
Oh,
start
yeah.
talking to people and you go, oh, this person is just Ryan and
Yeah.
not, oh my gosh, it's this guy.
Totally. Wow, great point. And it's something that I think of, and I don't think of often, but it's like, yeah, I talk with people regularly who have 200,000 plus subscribers, and I talk regularly with the person. I'm not going to name them, but very well known. Like, started content probably 7 months ago and has over 1 million on both platforms, Instagram and TikTok, and he's killing on YouTube too. And he's just a normal guy, and he'll probably be the first to tell you that he's like just a normal dude too. But he's just not a celebrity. Like, we tend to idolize these people for numbers on the screen when it's just everyone is humanized, like you said. Like, it's a perfect way to put it. Like, we're all just people.
Is there a
Yeah.
way to kind of get around that? Like, if you're somebody who is in this consuming space and you're looking at all of these people who seem to have it all put together and you're in your early 20s and you're freaking out because Ryan has this and Alex has that and this guy has this thing. Is there a way to kind of calm down and go, you know what? These are just people.
Yeah. Well, that's what I really aim to do with my content, is be an antidote to all of the hyper polished, perfect life, corner penthouse Miami apartment, that kind of thing. Like, I'm very open and honest with your 20s being okay if you do fail. That's actually great. If your life isn't what you want it to be and you don't know where to go next, that is totally no, like, that's normal. Like, it would be a huge concern if you were okay with being on the path that someone told you to take and you never questioned it. Um and so, is there a way to go around it? Um, yeah, it just takes it takes a lot of reflection and action. Like I said, like, this is, I think, more than anything, this is the time to figure out your interests, beliefs, tendencies, that kind of thing. And it only comes through life experience. It's just time in the game. It's just doing more stuff, being honest about what your interests, dislikes are, all that kind of stuff. And you just have to trust that older you has exactly what you want. And it's just being patient enough to wait for that.
You also can listen to Ryan Tennant and Alex Santafrida on Instagram.
at tenant
At Tennant
underscore
Ryan.
Ryan underscore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have anything in your early 20s that you do regret? Do you have things that you wish you didn't do?
Yeah. Um, so there is one thing. So I ran track at the University of Oregon. biggest goal from, I mean, probably since I was 12, 13, 14 was being an athlete there. Like, biggest goal. And track was my sport. I originally wanted to do football. I found out I was way better in track. And Oregon, if you don't know, is like a huge authority in the track and field space. Like, it's where like the modern day track and field was basically formed. And, growing up in Oregon, like, how could you not want to run for the Ducks? And I eventually did it. I transferred my freshman year. I was at a smaller school in California, and whole coaching staff blew up, got gutted, and then I transferred to Oregon because that was my whole goal, and I did actually really well my first year at my small school in California. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go do it. I can finally do this now. And then I did it, and I hated it. I hated it. Coaching staff wasn't great. Lots of drama on the team. Turns out when you got a lot of like US number ones on the same team, there's a lot of egos that clash. So there's always something going on there. Um, Coaches, they only cared about, the people that were going to score them the most points at the national meets. But there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's just like you feel it as someone who, I wasn't like world number one in anything. I was okay. Like, I was at Oregon, but I wasn't necessarily a guy competing for a national title every single year. And so I just felt slighted, and it just wasn't a good fit overall. Like, it just was not a good fit, like, culture wise and that kind of thing. So, and it's crazy to say because that was my biggest goal for like my whole like adolescent and teenage life was to go there, and I did it when I was 20. So this does count as my 20s, I suppose. Um, so do I regret going there? No. I don't really want to frame that as a regret because that decision like built who I am. And that's who I'm like right now, is that person. And it's a perfect example of going after something, going after a huge goal that you had for a long time, never questioning why. Like, that was one of those things where like I never questioned if it would have been a good fit, or I questioned why I wanted it. I just wanted other people to see that I had it, and I feel like I deserved it for no other reason than I just wanted to wear the O on my chest. And it was a completely ego-driven decision, and I just wanted people, like I said, just to see that I had it. And it ended up being a horrible decision. So do I regret it? No, because I had to learn that lesson. Like, I absolutely had to learn that you have to be really careful with the goals you set and be very honest with yourself about why you want certain things, no matter how important they seem to you, whether it's monetary, status driven, ego, whatever. You have to be very, very honest with yourself. So, um, yeah, that's probably one of my, I'd say, biggest quote unquote regrets. Like, on paper, that would look like a huge regret just because of how unhappy I was, and how much in that moment I was like, gosh dang it, like, this was a bad decision. But again, like, that experience was invaluable, and it will inform the rest of my life on how I decide to go after or not go after certain things.
I think unexpectedly, the theme of this podcast is simply the fact that if you're in your 20s, you're going to find yourself in a position or a place that you go, I used to really want this and now I no longer want it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so important to just accept the fact that that's okay.
yeah,
Like, it's fine. Nobody is going to force you to do whatever the thing is that you thought you needed to do.
yeah. It's by design. It's by design, and you're allowed to change your mind. And don't optimize for safety when the cost of failure is the lowest right now. That's the main idea, of your whole 20s. Don't don't try to take the safe path, and don't try to, again, be so calcified in your thinking or your original plan from when you were 18, that you have to stay on that forever. Um, because it's a sunk cost fallacy. You're allowed to change your mind many, many times. I could name so many people: Bourdain, Colonel Sanders, even Kanye. He didn't drop graduation until he's like 27 or 28. You're allowed to take your time with these kinds of things, and your time will come eventually, as long as you're just putting in the effort, and you're staying curious and engaged.
Do you have any future regrets that terrify you?
That's a great question. That's a very interesting question. Um, oh, I don't even want to say it.
Say it.
Is not is not leaving the job I'm in now earlier. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, and I like it, and it's a good job, and I know I should be going to it, but I know one day I will find something that will light light my fire. That will absolutely get me psyched up in the morning. And I don't even know exactly what it looks like. Maybe it's something related to content or the internet, or I'm also a coach as well for my high school track team, and I love that. So I know there's something in the future that is going to be just such a good fit for me in my life that I can't even believe it. And that version of me will probably regret present me not pursuing whatever that is sooner.
I want to ask you
Yeah.
selfishly, was there something that I mean, I'm phrasing this question as if you're like 55 and now, but was there something that you used to believe at 23 that now at 26 you find frankly just comical?
So I probably took life even less seriously at 23. I know I've talked a lot about, kind of having a pretty relaxed approach to your 20s, as long as you're moving forward, like you're good. That's my whole philosophy. But I think even like at 23, I wasn't even on that. I was hands behind my head, like feet kicked up. Like I wasn't really thinking about much. Now, of course, that's changed, but I realized that it doesn't even have to be perfect. Like I just said, like as long as you're moving some direction, it it's gonna work out eventually. And if you're staying engaged, but at 23, I was not engaged. I was I don't know how to put it. Probably I would say lazy. It's probably a good way to put it. And it just had this idea that, oh yeah, it'll work out eventually, and I don't really have to do much about it. Now I realize that it will work out eventually, but I do have to put some effort in and keep myself motivated.
In that jump from 23 to 26, did you
Mhm.
have like a period of unhinged self-improvement? Or was it just sort of this natural, oh, hey, I'm going to slightly move myself forward. I'm going to just live more freely and start doing things that I want to do? Because I feel like most people, the standard pipeline that we go through is I was super lazy. Then suddenly I found David Goggins. Now I'm running 50,000 miles every
Yeah.
single week. And then you start to ease off. Did that happen to you, or was it this just slow, gradual progression?
I think when I went through that whole job change and kind of like I said, like self-imposed like expectation of myself when I was 24, when I was like leading real estate and that kind of thing. I think that was probably the catalyst for it. Now back then that was like turned up to 11. I was like, I gotta be on it all day, every day. So it was just an opposite tilting on the teeter totter. It was just tilted the other way, and now I think it's more level. Like I found a good balance between having somewhat of a relaxed approach and knowing that things will work out eventually, but you still got to work for it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to work for it. Yeah. So I think that whole experience when I was putting all those expectations on myself at 24 and leading real estate and that kind of thing. Yeah, that was probably the catalyst for it.
What is the dumbest thing that people do to try and fix their life?
Probably taking advice from people whose lives they don't want.
Amen.
Yep. Yeah.
Enough said on
Yeah.
that point. That's the point right there. That's the mic drop.
Yeah.
It's hard though, right? Because you have these people that maybe you used to look up to them,
Mhm.
whether they're a teacher or unfortunately a family member, a parent, your best friend or whatever, and they tell you, buy Bitcoin, buy it now, put all your money into it. And then you lose all your money, you know? I guess a better example of this is buy Dogecoin, buy GameStop, right? But I think a lot of people struggle with that because they're afraid of offending their mom, their
Yeah.
dad,
Yeah.
if their parents live a life that they don't want to live themselves. Do you feel like there's a way to navigate that?
I mean, yeah, you just have to understand that those people, like, they do want the best for you, right? But they're operating from a place of safety and survival. Like, of course, like, if your mom and dad, if they themselves followed a very traditional path, you know, went to school, got a job out of school, 9 to 5 for 40 years, retired at 65, hopefully. It's a safe path. It's a way to live a decent life, and it's the most surefire way that we in America have found to support yourself. And so of course, like they're going to suggest for you to do that because they don't want you to go homeless and starving on the streets. So I think knowing that when people give you that sort of advice, if it's not necessarily from someone whose life you want to model after, know that it is coming from a good place. They're not evil, you know. But also knowing in the back of your mind that if someone really truly does care about you, they, I mean, as selfish as it might sound, like they should support you no matter what you do. You know, they should. Um, and if they don't, you just have to be okay with that and realize that your that your individualism, that your instinct is right in a lot of in a lot of ways, and it usually is.
A quote of yours is, in order to make your 20s the best years of your life, you need to make them the worst years of your life because all positive experiences are inherently negative and all negative experiences are inherently positive.
hmm
Break that down for me. What do you mean by that?
That just goes right back to failure. You will learn so much more from failure than you ever will from success. Like you should be swinging for the fence like as frequently as possible, and that sucks. That sucks to embarrass yourself and to fail at so many things, and to get rejection from girls or jobs or careers, or try something out, whether that's something like social media or something like that, and it just doesn't work out. Like that's embarrassing, and that again on paper that looks like a lot of failure after failure after failure after failure, but then you know you will look back on that way more fondly, and and um and and be envious of your previous self, and I want to thank yourself for going through so many difficult things because it's going to inform the rest of your life. I mean, my own experience with track is a perfect example of that. Like I would never say that I regretted going to the U of O because it taught me so much about myself. Now, was my experience there a failure? Yeah, in some ways, but like I learned so many invaluable things. Um, so, but what I meant by that quote, like, you want your 20s, in order to make your 20s the best years of your life, you need to make them the worst years of your life. That means embarrassing yourself on purpose, going for risky things, putting in long hours for whatever it is you want, um, and, and just, living adventurously, and also, um, I guess seriously too, in the way that you should be setting up the rest of your life.
I
Yeah.
have to bring it up because you brought it up. We have to talk about the dating market right now as people in their early 20s. What is the most unpopular opinion that you have about modern dating?
Ooh. I think there are a lot of good guys and girls out there. There are a lot of good people out there. Like that is such a common thing that you'll see on socials too, is guys and girls complaining that there's no good ones left from either gender. And that's just not true. Like there there are a lot of high quality people out there. But of course, like, yeah, are you gonna find your forever person at a bar on 6th Street in Austin at like 3 a.m.? Maybe, but probably not, you know? So I think that there are a lot of high quality people out there. And I don't think that social media or dating apps have necessarily like poisoned all of our brains and made us just like quick dopamine hits. I mean, that probably has happened on some scale, but there are a lot of high quality like potential life partners out there.
I
Absolutely. And I think it's just such an easy cop out for you to want to participate in like short term hookup culture, dating, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I do think it's important, exactly what you're saying, to operate with this idea that people generally mean good.
Yeah.
I don't understand where this whole ideology comes from that everybody sucks
Yeah.
except me. Like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
But everybody else sucks. It
yeah.
doesn't make sense
No.
because, truth be told, people that I have met on both sides of the gender aisle, on every single side of religion, be it people who are Mormon, Catholics, Buddhists, they don't believe anything. They're atheists.
Yeah.
great people all around. Yet people have these phobias to, oh, I don't like this religion because they're going to do this thing to me. And I don't like this person because they're going to do that thing to me. Like,
Yeah.
where the heck does it come from? Because at the end of the day, in my experience, people generally are pretty good people.
Yeah, yeah, everyone wants to be a good person. Like, people want to be a nice and benevolent person. Um, and yeah, I think it's just such a cop out from from maybe some personal work that you have to do yourself, but that's a whole nother topic. Yeah.
I want to shift gears really fast and talk to me about your parents. Your parents have seemed to have a very interesting way of living, and I'm curious, just what did you take from them?
So yeah, my parents lived a crazy, crazy life, and once you start to hear about their story, you can kind of piece together why I have my certain life philosophy. So my dad, for context, didn't have a real job until he was 45 years old, which is absolutely insane. Before that, he was a trumpet player on cruise ships for I think like 20, 25 years, long time. And then after that was a caddy at some golf courses in Vegas, where I grew up early childhood. Because golf and trumpet were his two loves his entire life. Like, only did what he wanted. Like, what a great way to live. Like, first and foremost. Um, and yeah, when like didn't get a real job until he was 45 when he had two kids, and he was like, you know what, I got to make some more money. So went into real estate because the barrier to entry is super low. You can get licensed up probably in a matter of 2 to 3 months, and then from there it's just relationship building. Um, and he figured it out. Like he he talks about there was a little stress in that, having to support a family in a brand new career. But he always just had this mindset that he was just going to figure it out, and it's because um, yeah, he's just such an interesting guy. Like, he's like classic, like band leader, like jolly trumpet player slash caddy. Like, was very good at with people, as always has been. Um, and he would probably admit this too. Like, if he hadn't had worked in the entertainment industry or golf industry for as long as he did, he probably wouldn't have been successful in real estate because he knew how to connect with people very, very quickly and build trust and just be a good person, like eye to eye, level with someone and that kind of thing. Um, and so his story, getting your first real job, which, I mean, we could even debate if real estate agency is a real job or not. Um, yeah, real job at 45, and then, putting a kid through college and another one through aviation school. Like, that's unheard of. Like, that's insane. Like, he is living proof that you can make it at any age. Any age. And mind you, like, when I post videos about my dad and talk about his story, I always get kinda hate comments and like, "Yeah, it was way easier, when your dad got into real estate." My dad got into real estate in 2008.
Oof,
My dad got into real
SPF to the
estate.
toes.
That's like, could you have picked a worse year to get licensed in real estate? But he made it work, you know? He made it work. He was doing open houses, like, literally every single day. He was cold calling, like, trying to generate business, like, grinding, because he had to. And he made it work, 45 years in,
I
which
also
is
think that that comment doesn't make any sense to me because it's objectively way easier now to go do whatever it is that you wanna do.
I mean, houses are way more expensive, so that means commissions are higher, you know? And obviously there's a lot more market activity right now than there was in 2008, Like, it was absolutely crickets back then when he first got started, but he just stuck with it, and he never faltered, and he made it work. So he is living proof that you can make it work at any age, and that there is no set timeline. There's no milestone you have to have achieved at any certain age. Like, you can really make it work. And my mom, same story for her. She never worked a real job. She was in entertainment as well. Like, she was a singer um on the strip in Las Vegas. She was in a showgirl show called Jubilee. It was like one of the last, like, I forget what you call them, but it's like just like huge, like, headdresses, like variety show, I guess. Really classy show, and that's what she did when my brother and I were growing up in Las Vegas. She was there 6 nights a week, you know? Um, and I was a singer like around town, like super, super unconventional life paths. Um, so they are always people that I point to and kind of, you know, can remind myself that like, oh yeah, like I don't have to have it all figured out like right now. Like I can change if my dad can change his mind at 45, I can change my mind at 26. Like it's not a big deal.
What do you think makes for a memorable decade in our 20s?
Man, well, I really respect what you're doing right now, saying yes to everything as much as possible. You know, saying that that's your mission this year. Man, what a great way to live. Just that adventure, the spontaneity, because you're you're just throwing your luck in the wind. You know, it'll land somewhere, right? And so I think being open to luck and casting a wide net, like, and being open to opportunity and adventure, you'll never regret that. And of course, doing some things in the background, of course, like very practical things, getting in shape, learning skills, becoming a better person, whatever that looks like that's all great stuff to do too. But that's just like almost automatically what you should be doing. I think extracurricularly, you will you will always look fondly back on the risks and different opportunities you pursued, no matter how they ended up going.
I think you create your own luck. I mean, that's really what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The more you
Yeah.
do, the more you put yourself out there, the more things magically fall into your
Yeah.
lap. And then we look at these people that accomplish things. It's like, how'd you get that? It's like, well, because they showed up every single day.
Yeah.
Let's say you're talking to somebody who just barely turned 20 or they're,
Okay.
21, 22. What are three pieces of advice that you would give that person as they try to figure out how on earth they're going to navigate the next 10 years?
3 pieces of advice. Okay. So I guess first I would start with practical. Like do all the practical things you should be doing. Get in shape, learn a skill that at least interests you a little bit that you could see yourself making money through. Um, you know, get good at communicating. Um, yeah, so that'd be like just do all the practical things you should be doing. Number 2, realize that there you are going to get a lot of advice and no one's advice will be the same. Like no two people's advice in your life will be the same. Not even your mom and dad's advice will probably be the same. So it's going to be very hard to listen to anyone. And it's just, I'm not going to say not to listen to anyone, but be very careful about who you listen to. Don't listen to anyone whose life you don't want to have modeled after. Um, you know, don't listen to like TJR or like like a grifter or anything like that just because you see them driving a Lamborghini. But take a look at your life and see who's actually genuinely happy, who actually likes their life. That's who you should be taking advice from. No matter what kind of specific things they give you, like find out what makes them happy and see how you can apply that to yourself. Um, so yeah, practical advice. Be careful who you pay attention and take advice from. And lastly, you understand that you do have time, but only if you use it wisely. You have time, but you don't have time to waste. There's no set timeline you have to be on. You don't have to make X amount of money by X age or, you know, land a prestigious job by X age or get that internship this summer. You don't have to do any of that stuff. There's no timeline or there's no failure on your part if you don't achieve XYZ thing by XYZ age. That's just not how it works whatsoever. Um, so so be patient with yourself, but also know that you don't have time to waste. You should always be moving a direction.
Yeah, Ryan Tennant, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, pleasure as always. Good to see you.
Yeah. Okay. So they can follow you at Tennant underscore Ryan
At
underscore.
Tennant, Tennant underscore Ryan underscore.
You
Yep.
guys already know what to do. If you are on YouTube or Spotify, like, share, subscribe, follow, depending on which platform you're on. And yeah, thank you again, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex. Good to see you.